KWWL Channel 7, Iowa's news channel. Good morning. This is your first news of the day on KWWL, Iowa's news channel. With Linda Hudwalker, meteorologist Jed Castles, and farm news with Dale Hansen.
Good morning. Welcome to a full hour of First News on this Friday, September 18th, 1992. A nationally known feminist campaigns for the Iowa Equal Rights Amendment. A controversial cable bill is in the hands of the Senate, and a decision on dockside gambling in Iowa. Well, we thought the rain was gone, or should have been gone this morning, but it's not.
Still a few rain showers out there this morning. We'll show that on radar. Let's check out our forecast for this afternoon. Look for skies becoming partly cloudy with those showers ending. Highs today ranging in the 60s to right around 70.
I heard those thunderstorms move through pretty early this morning. Thanks, Jed. In an effort to bring more attention to the Iowa Equal Rights Amendment and its passage in November, proponents brought one of their most recognized feminists to discuss the ERA's points, Eleanor Smeal. The former president of the National Organization for Women was at Mount Mercy College in Cedar Rapids last night. 12 states have approved the ERA. Now Iowans will decide November 3rd if it should be added to the state's constitution. The amendment reads like this: all men and women are by nature free and equal and have certain inalienable rights, among which are those enjoying and defending life, liberty, acquiring and possessing property, and pursuing and obtaining safety and happiness. Neither the state nor any of its political subdivisions shall, on the basis of gender, deny or restrict the equality of rights under the law. Opponents to the bill say current law protects women's rights already, and to approve it is to over-legislate. In Cedar Rapids, Smeal, who is now the president of the Feminist Majority Foundation and the Fund for the Feminist Majority, defended the ERA, saying it is not wasted legislation, but would in fact help guarantee, among many things, that women could close wage gaps. She says the ERA would aid in athletic opportunities and faculty appointments and help homemakers and families as much as working women. Political analysts say ERA supporters are off to a slow start in getting their message across to the public. Supporters hope Smeal's visit will draw some attention, but protesters outside wanted some attention too. They say Smeal has a hidden pro-choice agenda.
You wouldn't see any protest from any pro-life group whatsoever if it was just strictly for women's rights and equal rights, and we're all for that. But we do know that the NOW has said that they do want to press for abortion rights through the ERA.
Smeal defends her platform.
But by and large, we're not running for that issue. The American women have made it very clear that they do not want their right to choose to take away from them. By the way, women have the right to choose. We don't have the Equal Rights Amendment. So it's sort of, you can see just there that they're distorting that issue.
Mount Mercy will present the opposite viewpoint at another forum October 2nd. Meantime, the controversial cable television regulation bill was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives yesterday by a vote of 280 to 128. The bill authorizes the Federal Communications Commission to set cable TV rates in communities where no competition exists. It also sets guidelines for cable TV customer service. The bill is also aimed at protecting cable subscribers from billing errors and service outages. The bill now heads to the U.S. Senate, where passage is uncertain. President Bush is threatening to veto the bill in the House. The Iowa delegation voted in favor of the bill, except for Democratic Congressman Neil Smith. It looks like Iowa will have land-based casino gambling for 7 months a year. The Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission has agreed to extend the docking dates for Iowa's 3 floating casinos, allowing the boats in Dubuque, Davenport, and Clinton to stay dockside from November 1st through May 31st. That's a 7-month non-cruise season, 2 months longer than first legislated. The Commission's Chuck Patton says the action allows the Casino Belle, Mississippi Belle II, and President to remain dockside if the weather is lousy. Does a Democratic representative from Des Moines support a Republican House member from Waterloo? Democrat State Representative Tom Baker from Des Moines says no, but he appears in Republican Don Hansen's campaign brochure. In a press release, Baker says nobody asked for his permission to print his picture in Hansen's brochure, and he says he instead supports Jane Tiefert, a fellow Democrat. While Hansen was out campaigning, he said he was surprised by Baker's press release, but added he couldn't comment further about the brochure until he talked with Baker. Former Iowan Randy Weaver says he is innocent of charges that he took part in killing a federal marshal during a shootout at his Idaho home. During an 11-day standoff, Marshal William Deegan was shot and killed. Kevin Harris, a friend of Weaver's, is charged with first-degree murder. Weaver's wife and son also died in gun battles. Weaver's trial is set for October 26th, but it could be postponed. The federal magistrate says Weaver cannot be released on bond pending trial. 21-year-old Joseph Hopkins Jr. wants his trial moved out of Lynn County. The Chicago man is accused of killing 17-year-old Destiny Dawn Wright back in July. In requesting the change of venue, Hopkins cites extensive publicity surrounding the case. A ruling will come later. Hopkins also accuses police of unfairly interrogating him while he was under the influence of drugs. Don't go away, there's more ahead of us on First News this morning.
I'm Bobby Earls. Still to come in health news, we'll tell you about a controversial surgery involving spinal cord patients. Also, dystonia is a disease that many Americans have never heard of. We'll tell you more when we come back.
And in farm markets, yesterday was not a good day for corn and soybeans.
And cooler fall-like air is moving in over the Hawkeye State. How long will it last? We'll let you know coming up.
It is 6 after 6. First News is back right after this.
Welcome to KWWL's Business Briefs. Here is your host, Barb Geist.
Hi, today's new business is Flex Tile and Marble, located at 576 Central Avenue in Dubuque. Flex Tile and Marble carries domestic manufacturers and shops the world's market to bring customers the largest and most complete selection of ceramic tile and marble in the tri-state area. Owner Robert Fleckenstein caters to the do-it-yourselfer, but also offers professional installation. Visit Flex for all your ceramic tile and marble needs. In other business news, Dr. Mario Moda has joined Dr. Richard C. Maurer at Cedar Valley Ophthalmology. Doctors Moda and Maurer specialize in diseases and surgery of the eye, including cataract, glaucoma, crossed eyes, and laser surgery. In October, Cedar Valley Ophthalmology also will be offering radiokeratotomy. Contact Cedar Valley Ophthalmology Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
The University of Iowa is continuing its genetic research on panic disorders. Families with 3 or more affected individuals are needed as volunteers. Interested persons should call 319-353-4019 for additional information.
Dale Hansen is back from vacation this morning.
Good morning to you.
Back.
I know when to come back.
On
it's a
Friday.
Friday, right? I work one day, you to bed.
When's your schedule?
I'll tell you, I kind of work it out that way.
Yeah.
One day, and then you take the weekend, and gosh, do I have any more vacation coming up? No, I don't.
I think
really,
you've
I don't.
used it all.
No.
I think you have.
Our news record never. No, you don't have any more
you don't have
vacation.
any more.
Oh, golly.
Well, you
anyway.
missed the big flood this week.
Yes.
That
That was terrible. In fact, I heard reports that sinkholes as deep as
They were.
silos.
Yeah, we
now
had
that's
video.
a deep
It was incredible.
sinkhole. My goodness gracious. And some places 16 inches of water. That's terrible.
It really
There's been a
was.
lot of crop damage down there too, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to report on that right now. Well, a pleasant good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and have a wonderful weekend. Experts are waiting for water to recede in southern Iowa before assessing crop damage from this week's rain. Experts say it will take a week or so to see the results. Ag Secretary Dale Cochran says there's serious, extensive crop damage and that many acres of crops are destroyed. He estimates damage into the millions. A unique program called Opportunity LA is helping victims of the riots last spring. The Forest Service is giving temporary jobs to hundreds of city residents. Pat O'Leary continues his report.
With boots and other gear supplied by the U.S. Marines, some workers were assigned to fire prevention projects.
It's just not the physical labor. I mean, we do a lot of physical labor, but we had to pass tests, and we had to learn about fire behavior, we had to learn about topography, and all kind of different aspects of wildland fires.
You know, I'm married with a couple kids, so, you know, my wife's pretty happy to see me working, so this program really came through when I really needed it.
Others worked on maintaining and improving national forest facilities.
I think it's great. I think it's a good opportunity. It came at a good
It needed time, and I'm glad to be part of it.
But here's the project, guys. On both sides of the road.
While Opportunity LA was a temporary program, the workers will take new skills back into their communities. The Forest Service says they now have a wider group of trained applicants for future openings, and they've become better acquainted with some of their neighbors.
The first step of them helping us made us want to help ourselves, and then all of us being together, we're going to learn to help each other. So I think it's a really great program.
This is Pat O'Leary reporting.
Well, President Bush's recent $755 million in disaster aid for farmers may not go far. Well, the money will be split in two parts. About $100 million is for losses on 1991 fall seeded crops. About $655 million for spring crop losses will be divided up. Farmers will be competing against Hurricane Andrew victims and possibly against Hurricane Iniki in Hawaii. Taking a look at the market picture, it was not good news at all. No. Corn and soybean future prices closed lower yesterday as fears of a killing frost in the Midwest continue to fade. In fact, analysts say Jack Frost has been taken out of the picture now. Southern Iowa barge terminal bids on corn are 4 to 6 cents lower. Beans are a nickel to as much as a dime lower. So here are the Northeast Iowa spot bids. I came back from vacation. I wish I had better news to tell you, but I don't. Anyway, New Hampton down a nickel on corn, down 12 on soybeans. McGregor down 3 on corn, down 12 on beans. Hudson down 3 on corn, down 9 on beans. Harmony down 3 on corn and down 13 on soybeans. West Union down a dime on corn, down 12 on beans. And Cedar Falls down 3 on corn and down 9 on soybeans. Cedar Rapids down 3 on corn, down 9 on beans. And Cresco down a nickel on corn and down a dime on beans. Meat complex, box beef is up 49 cents. Pork carcass price down a penny. Animal slaughter estimates for today. Cattle side, the number should be about the same as a week ago. The cattle market yesterday, nearly steady. Hog side, the number should be down 200 from a week ago. And the hog market yesterday, steady to instances 50 cents lower. And the estimated supply around the Iowa direct hog trade yesterday, 110,000. I'll tell you, it's terrible. You know, farmers worrying about the frost, and then they get deluged. And I mean deluged with, what, 6 to as much as 16 inches?
6 to 12 inches, they said officially.
Anyway, millions of dollars of damage. Really That's terrible to report.
Well, thanks, Dale.
Yep.
Here's the news from around the world this morning from NBC Sunrise in New York.
Good morning. I'm Deborah Roberts in for Ann Curry. George Bush and Bill Clinton have company in the presidential political headlines this morning. Ross Perot supporters will submit petitions today, adding his name to the ballot in Arizona. That means a man who still says he isn't running for president will appear on the ballots of all 50 states in November. More from Bob Serkin in Dallas.
It was 9 weeks ago, after sliding in the polls, spending $12 million of his own money, watching his staff and volunteers in turmoil, that Ross Perot called it quits. Since then, many of Perot's disenchanted volunteers and supporters bolted to the Clinton camp. A new volunteer organization, United We Stand America, has been formed, pushing Perot's agenda of economic and social reform. An agenda outlined in Perot's new best-selling book, calling for higher taxes and less spending to eliminate the deficit. Today, Arizona becomes the 50th state to place Perot on its presidential ballot. Perot's chief volunteer wants him back in the race.
Because he asked us to ask the two major candidates to please address these issues, get serious, tell us you're going to do things to correct it. If they insist on not doing that, then we're going to insist that Mr. Perot run.
Perot, who has always said he'll do what his volunteers ask of him, remains coy about his political plan.
Orson Swindle said yesterday that
he runs the volunteer
right, and he has asked you to jump back in. What have you told him?
Well, that's personal.
Even if Ross Perot waits until next month to make his return, he still has time to inflict more damage on George Bush, while at the same time avoiding heavy campaigning and close-up media scrutiny, just the way Ross Perot has always wanted it. Bob Serkin for NBC News, Dallas.
Ross Perot appears this morning on the Today Show. George Bush continues to sag in the polls, so he's boosting the pressure on Bill Clinton. In Oklahoma Thursday, the president denounced his challenger for a program of big government and social welfare.
No matter what you call it, it's still big-time government spending, directed by Washington planners who want to reorder social and economic priorities, and we cannot have that.
And he's not giving Clinton any peace on the draft issue. The Bush campaign released a memo from an ROTC officer saying Clinton lied to him to dodge the Vietnam draft. Clinton continues to keep his campaign focused on the economy, accusing the Bush administration of wasting time with ideas that don't work.
After 800 days without an economic plan as President of the United States, he offered one, which was nothing more than a warmed-over version of trickle-down economics.
After Clinton met with a group of Democratic governors on Thursday, the governors told reporters the draft is a phony issue.
Fall weather is making a comeback.
That's right. Have some cool air out there. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
You're watching KWWL's First News.
Good morning, it's 6:18. We've been talking about a cool front that'll bring in fall-like weather. Well, it's finally arrived, and temperatures now are beginning to cool down behind this front. The front has now worked its way through the state, and temperatures are cooling into the 50s, 54 in Rochester, 57 in Mason City. You can contrast that to temperatures still very warm down to our southeast. Right around Peoria now, reporting with a temperature of 70. The front hasn't made it that far yet, but the front will continue to move on by. It'll make way for some cooler weather in here by tonight. Now, looking at our latest satellite picture shows some skies beginning to clear out across portions of Minnesota. Also back around Spencer and Sioux City now, they're reporting into the clear skies. This storm system will continue to move on by, and as it does, we'll continue to see clearing skies. By this afternoon, skies should remain partly cloudy. Out to our west, though, looking at clear skies across the northern plains, we should see mostly clear skies in here by tonight. That'll help drop our temperatures down into the 30s to right around 40 degrees. So some chilly air in here by tonight. Watching the storm system over the past 12 hours as it's spiraling around, moving its way across the state, brought in some showers and some big thunderstorms across the eastern half of the state. Those have rumbled on through now and are working their way into Wisconsin and Illinois. We're making way for a pretty nice afternoon as the clouds will clear on out. And then tomorrow on into Sunday look pretty good as well, with sunny to partly sunny skies. Temperatures, though, as this cold air moves in, at the same time it'll be quickly moving on out. We should be back up into the 70s in here by Sunday. Now, our latest radar maps showing some showers and a few thunderstorms across the Midwest. More active weather right along this frontal boundary where stronger thunderstorms are erupting along the shores of Lake Michigan, southward into portions of Missouri, back into Kansas. This area of rain will quickly move away. You can still see a few rain showers across the eastern half of the state. Let's take a look at weather from radar from the National Weather Service out of Waterloo, indicating some light to moderate rain showers from the La Crosse area down through Decorah. These extend through the Old Wine area, southward through Waterloo, and then southward to around the Marshalltown area, very quickly moving toward the east, right around 40 miles per hour. Looking at our forecast for this afternoon, we're going to see the skies begin to clear on out, calling for partly cloudy skies this afternoon. We've been wet all week. Finally, that's going to change. We're going to be seeing some drier weather in here over the next few days as this big cold front brings in some drier air. Where they will see rain showers will be from the Great Lakes southward into the Ohio Valley. High pressure out to our westward building on in. That'll be cooling us on down by tonight. Looking at high temperatures today around the Midwest, cooling off, ranging in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and drier air will be filling in as well. Let's check out our forecast for this afternoon. We're looking for skies becoming partly cloudy. Those showers will be ending across the state with highs today ranging in the 60s to right around 70. Mostly clear and cold tonight. Those winds will be diminishing today around 15 to 30, diminishing down to around calm to 15 miles per hour tonight. And we're looking for lows tonight ranging from 35 to 40. Could see some frost in low-lying areas up around Decorah. For tomorrow, sunny to partly sunny skies with a south to southwest wind at 5 to 15. Highs tomorrow ranging in the lower to middle 60s. About a 30% chance of rain this morning. Drying conditions ranging from fair to good. And our outlook for Sunday through Tuesday, calling for highs warming back up into the 70s, lows will be in the 40s, and we'll see another chance of rain back in the picture by Tuesday.
It sounds like a gorgeous weekend.
Pretty nice, yeah.
Thanks, Jed. Health News is up next this morning. Bobby Earls will tell us how genes may affect the ability to quit smoking. And she'll tell us about dystonia, a disorder affecting the brain. Stay tuned. It's 6:23. In this morning's health segment, Bobby Earls explains why your genes could affect smoking behavior.
Good morning. Some smokers may have a harder time kicking the habit because of their genes. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found heredity plays a role not only in whether people smoke, but also how much and how tough it is for them to quit. After surveying 4,800 pairs of twins, researchers found identical twins whose genes are the same had smoking patterns more alike than fraternal twins whose genes are different. 12 years ago, the first dystonia support group was formed in the United States. Dystonia can be found in children or adults and usually causes uncontrolled contractions of the muscles. An Iowa City resident diagnosed with dystonia is trying to educate people about the disease.
Good afternoon, University Library volunteers.
When Susan Rotman isn't volunteering at the University of Iowa, she's trying to spread the word about dystonia, a disorder that causes muscle spasms.
Mine started in my right ankle with a twisting, spasming kind of movement, and I didn't even think about it. I was 4.5 and trying to go play with my friends, and so I tried to hide it from my mother as much as I could when I crossed the street. And by the time I was 6, I was in a manual wheelchair.
While dystonia is a brain disorder, it does not cause any mental handicaps.
Dystonia affects exclusively motor function, and for most patients with dystonia, there are no intellectual or cognitive symptoms. It's strictly the way in which the muscles work and not the way in which the mind works.
Treatment ranges from medications to brain surgery. Susan is forming a dystonia support group in Iowa. If you would like to find out more about the disease, or if a family member or loved one has been diagnosed with dystonia, call Susan at 319-238-2149. Physicians from Boston University are experimenting with a controversial surgery for repairing damaged spinal cords in paralyzed patients. In the journal Brain Research, doctors describe how they've performed the procedure on 8 cats whose spines have been surgically severed. They say 2 of the cats have regained some mobility. The procedure's goal is to stimulate growth of nerve cells. I'm Bobby Earls, and that's your first look at health news.
On that story about dystonia, we do have a correction to make. The phone number to call is 338-2149, not 238. And Monday on First News, Bobby will tell us about one of the most common infectious diseases. Well, weather is going to be a little bit more like fall, it sounds like now.
That's right. Really, the big news to talk about here is the drier air that'll be moving in. It's been so humid over the past couple of days, and that'll be clearing on out. Also, temperatures dropping into the 30s tonight. That's also big news as well. Might need an extra blanket on the bed tonight. Also, if you are heading out to the football games this evening, might need to take a blanket with you as well. Let's check out our current temperatures around the eastern half of the state. Ranging in the 50s and 60s, so a little bit cooler than what we've seen over the past couple of days. 59 in Decorah, 58 in Waterloo, 62 in Dubuque and Cedar Rapids. Iowa City reporting in with 67. Our forecast today, calling for skies becoming partly cloudy. Showers around the area will be ending this morning. Looking for highs today ranging in the 60s to right around 70.
And the rain's going to leave us for a few days.
Yeah.
Good, thanks, Jed. Recapping the top stories on First News, Eleanor Smeal wants Iowans to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. She is president of the Feminist Majority Foundation and campaigned for the ERA in Cedar Rapids last night. Opponents were on hand for her visit, saying she and others want to use the amendment to promote a hidden pro-choice agenda. A controversial cable TV regulation bill was passed by the House of Representatives and is now in the Senate's hands. The bill allows the FCC to set cable rates in communities where there is no competition. And it looks like Iowa will have land-based casino gambling for 7 months a year. The dock dates are being extended for Iowa's 3 floating casinos. Stay tuned. Here's a look at what's ahead in the next half hour.
I'm Steve Crowley. When you have shaky credit and need to buy a car anyway, I'll show you how to do it the smart way coming up.
Coming up in sports, the NFL owners held a big meeting in Texas yesterday. We'll have details a little bit later on.
And also in business, we'll talk about mainframes. Are they going to be obsolete?
And we're looking for some near normal temperatures in our forecast. We'll talk about that in our 5-day coming up in about 15 minutes.
And it is coming up on 6:28. First News will be back in just a moment.
KWWL Channel 7, Iowa's news channel. Welcome back to First News on KWWL, Iowa's news channel. With Linda Hudwalker, meteorologist Jed Castles, and Farm News with Dale Hansen.
Welcome back. It's 6:30. In the news this half hour, the Red Cross is on the move again. A former Postville hospital is now bursting with activity of all kinds. And it's that time of year again. The Cattle Congress Expo is about to begin. Sounds like a perfect weekend for the Cattle Congress.
Oh, you bet. Really nice forecast coming up. We've been talking about rain about every single day this week.
I'm tired of it.
That's about to come to an end. We're looking forward to the rain to be moving on out. There are still a few rain showers across the eastern half of the state right now. Let's check out radar from the National Weather Service in Waterloo. Most of it is on the light side right now from, let's say Walk-On in Allamakee County, southward through around Oldwine to LaPorte City in Blackhawk County to around Dysart. Rain showers moving very quickly to the east, right around 40 miles per hour. After that, things should be drying up and clearing out as well. Our forecast today calling for skies becoming partly cloudy. Showers will be ending and highs today in the 60s. Also, the winds will be howling from the northwest at 15 to 30 miles per hour.
It's probably going to feel cooler than it really is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jed. The Waterloo Red Cross is on the move again. After returning from Miami, the Red Cross is now helping southern Iowa. After the recent flooding in parts of southern Iowa, these boxes filled with mops and buckets will help with the cleanup.
We have a warehouse full of cleanup equipment for disasters. Right now we loaded up 250 kits to send down to southern part of Iowa for the big flood they had down there.
Some Red Cross volunteers will be on the road again next Thursday. This time it will be to the island of Kauai to help those hurricane victims pick up the pieces. The Red Cross says, however, they are only halfway to their $80,000 goal, and with the trimming of the past events, they are in need of more donations. Meanwhile, Governor Branstad will ask the federal government to declare those 6 Iowa counties a disaster area after flooding this week. Spokesman Richard Vose says the governor's letter could be sent today. He calls it the first step in a process to obtain federal help for flood victims. 2 years ago, the Postville Community Hospital closed its doors, but today the building is bursting with activity. A new child care center occupies most of the upper level of the building, as city offices occupy another section. Joan Hobble reports how the former hospital is once again an asset to the entire community.
A place where people used to care for the sick is now a facility being utilized to care for the community's future.
The real big thing is to get people over thinking of it as a former hospital, but to think of it as a place, a loving, caring place for children.
Postville's new child care center opened last month, and already 29 children are registered in the program, which is fully equipped with an infant room, preschool, and appetizing lunchroom.
Before we started here, this was 2 separate rooms. There was a divider right through the center, definitely patient rooms.
Other hospital rooms didn't need as much renovation. The former lobby area is now the new city council chambers, and the old emergency room area has become the new police department. Renovations to this building truly make it an asset to the entire community, and Postville's mayor says that's always been his goal.
Well, I would say as far as my goal is concerned, I've probably somewhere around 75 to 90% of my goal has been accomplished at this point. I have a small amount of space left to occupy, which I'm hoping in the next 6 months will have filled.
And that's a goal the mayor says this community can achieve. In Postville, I'm Joan Hobble for Iowa's News Channel.
An open house for the Child Care Center is scheduled for September 28th at 7 p.m. Hospitals in Cedar Rapids are now doing their part to promote a cleaner environment. An $800,000 facility at the Iowa Medical Waste Reduction Center will soon be treating hospital-owned infectious waste.
That's Iowa taking care of Iowa waste, and we don't have to be concerned then about being a problem for other states, and we also are not interested in being a repository for waste coming from other states into Iowa.
The new plant will allow medical waste to be deposited in a local landfill rather than be shipped out of state for incineration. The process will begin at the end of next week. Thanks to a $500,000 federal grant, some big changes are ahead for a Cedar Rapids neighborhood. A policy council will decide exactly where the money should go, but the Metro Area Housing Program is hopeful some of the money will go to the Wellington Heights area.
The neighborhood needs a chance to be in control of where their neighborhood boundaries are.
Wherever the money goes in Southeast Cedar Rapids, the grant will be used to acquire and rehabilitate homes and rental units. The National Cattle Congress in Waterloo is about to begin. Officials expect record crowds, but they say traffic shouldn't be a problem. Officials say the opening of Ainsborough Avenue, located along the Congress grounds, will give easier access to fairgoers.
Problems at all. We've got a lot of signage directing people how to get to the grounds, the Ida Street entrance, as well as across the street, and we'll have signs up showing what kind of turns, for instance, if they can't make a left-hand turn or if they need to turn right. Those signs will all be in place to assist people coming to the fairgrounds.
Officials say if you want to avoid traffic altogether, shuttle services will be available from the Waterloo Greyhound Park and the College Square Mall. Well, it's been a big week already for Miss Iowa. She is 24-year-old Catherine Lemkow of Muscatine, a University of Iowa graduate, and she's already won the talent preliminary competition in the Miss America pageant. Here she's singing Someone Like You. Catherine also tied for first with Miss Indiana in the preliminary swimsuit competition. The finals are Saturday night. Still to come on First News this morning, we'll have the latest national and business news. First, a look at the conditions for today's travelers. It's 6:38. In headline news from around the world this morning, British cabinet members met Thursday to discuss the financial crisis that's jeopardizing Europe's economic future. Britain temporarily suspended its currency from the EC monetary system Thursday, and Italy followed suit. Middle East peace talks recessed for the weekend on a sour note. Syria threatened to walk out if Israel doesn't agree to withdraw from the Golan Heights. And a group of women say they were sexually harassed by colleagues at veterans' hospitals. They testified before a House committee Thursday that they encountered further harassment after filing complaints. Dale's back now for a look at today's business news. This is not really good economic news, I don't think. First-time claims way up.
Well, it's not, but then we had the strike run General Motors, and then we had Hurricane Andrew to contend with, and they just wiped out a lot of businesses and a lot of jobs, so that's the problem there. You
wonder
bet.
how they'll recover for the long
right.
haul.
Hey, pleasant good morning and a wonderful Friday and a super-duper weekend to one and all. Well, first-time claims for unemployment insurance jumped by 6,000 in early September to the highest level in 4 weeks. The Labor Department says the rise in new applications for jobless benefits took the total to 400,000. The increase was no surprise. Analysts had said in advance the increase would reflect the impact of a General Motors strike and the loss of jobs caused by Hurricane Andrew. Well, the majority of IBM's business is rooted in mainframe computers, but other companies may soon rule mainframes obsolete.
One grim assessment by a competitor was enough for Wall Street to lower its expectations for IBM. Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter Reynolds, and Payne Weber were among the firms to alter their earnings estimates for 1992 after Amdahl Corporation's statement that it sees an operating loss due to a decline in demand for mainframe computers. 70% of IBM's business is rooted in mainframes.
I think a fundamental issue in some of the big computer companies in America is that they've been unwilling to obsolete their own products. They're too profitable.
But other companies are all too willing to make mainframes obsolete. And more, the cost efficiency and increasing versatility of the less expensive microprocessor systems are drawing away valuable clients. IBM enjoyed some modest revenue growth the first half of this year, helped in part by some new mainframe products. But Big Blue said last month that it expects flat earnings for the third quarter. Now there's question whether the company can even achieve that.
For NBC News, I'm Susan Lasovich.
Well, American Airlines Chairman Robert Crandall says the simplified fare structure American introduced in April and pushed competitors to adopt has failed and may be scrapped. Crandall told financial analysts in New York that American's plan was hurt because competitors have continually undercut ticket prices. Well, millions of Americans do not have spotless credit history reports. Trouble comes when trying to buy a car or truck, and there's problems getting the financing approved. Steve Crowley has advice.
Compared to wages, cars are getting more expensive, taking a bigger chunk out of how much we make. In 1973, on average, we had to work 17 weeks of wages to afford a car. In 1992, we'd have to work 25 weeks. Wages are flattening. New car prices are not. Even worse, tight money and new credit rules to play by mean it's getting tougher for many of us to qualify for a new or used car loan. Deputy Sheriff Bill Volker is proud of his new Chevy pickup, but getting the financing approved was anything but easy. It took Bill 2 dealers, 2 weeks, and a mountain of paperwork.
Oh yeah, it happened to me. I had some bad times that I went through, and I came and tried to buy a new vehicle, and basically I was turned down the first time from another dealership. You know, they didn't want to spend the time with me and see why or what my problem was.
Financing specialist Tim Blaskovich worked with Bill to get him approved. A financing company and a 17% loan made the deal work. Got bad credit? Tim and those like him will help with the paperwork. Bad credit car buying has some important goals attached to it, so here they are. 1, buy a car you can afford. 2, go with a reputable new car dealership, even with used cars. 3, shop the financing. Try to have as much down as possible to keep the interest rate down. And 4, try to reestablish good credit.
Make your payments on time. You'd probably walk in there next time with good credit. You wouldn't have to wait maybe an hour and a half. You drive in, drive out.
Next time, how to drive in and drive out on your next car purchase with advice from financing specialists. I'm Steve Crowley with the Money Report.
And the stock market slipped yesterday. The Dow lost 3 1/2 points. Markets overseas this morning are weak. Tokyo, the market closed 50 points higher. The dollar is higher in the money markets of Europe this morning. In Tokyo, the dollar closed 1/2 yen lower. The price of gold in London this morning is fixed at $348.65 an ounce. That's up 15 cents. Silver is fixed at $3.78 an ounce, and that's down 2 cents. Time right now is approaching 6:44. Have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Well, we had some rain this morning, just what we all needed, right? Well, hopefully we have some dry weather in the forecast, and Jed will tell us if we do in just a moment.